One, two, three.
Hello, everyone,
Oh,
and
okay. We can do
welcome
that.
to the 93rd. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And welcome
No,
to the 93rd episode of DevKami. And tomorrow is Admin Day. And I am
Yay. Wait,
Sheila.
I thought. Oh,
Where's our
okay.
name?
I am
Oh,
Tristan.
And this is
yeah, aka
swimming.
Parasquid.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
Not Parasquid. Tristan is Parasquid.
yeah.
Swimming is
hmm
swimming.
So,
And
what's
just so
gonna
you
happen
know,
within this? Okay,
this week,
go on.
guess what? Tomorrow is a holiday.
Yeah,
Yay.
to celebrate Admin Day.
No, it's Hari Raya Korban. So, is it Hari Raya Korban or Hari Raya Haji or is it something? I forget.
It's the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah. So that happening tomorrow. So as a result, most of us had a choice of having a public holiday, but I know a lot of entrepreneur type do not. It's your call, not my call. So put it this way. So that being said, we should talk about events. What we have next week.
we
The
have
short answer
our
is,
first
uh-huh.
Ruby Tuesday plus Penang KL Ruby Tuesday with Penang Ruby Tuesday happening Tuesday next week. The
Okay.
first time that we're having the event together. So both
Yeah.
communities. And since we're doing it online anyway, and when there's no separation anymore. I mean, KL, Penang, we used to not meet together because Penang is
Yeah.
quite far away from KL, so they don't have to like
Yes.
travel. But now it's all online, so we're going to have two talks. One would be about Amazon, and the other he's not yet decided on what to present,
Okay.
but it's going to be
I
interesting,
thought. Uh-huh.
fun, enjoying.
I thought it happened already. It happened
Oh, we
before.
have it every month.
No,
We
no,
have
no,
it every first of the month.
no. I mean, you had a Penang and KL collab once.
No, we used to have speakers from Penang and speakers from
Ah.
KL joining Penang meetup,
Okay.
but
Okay.
not
Okay.
a
Okay.
meetup at the same time. So because they
Ah.
used to,
Okay.
so we do KL first Tuesday of the month,
Yep.
and we do Penang on the second Tuesday of the month. And so now we're
Right.
just
Right.
doing
Right.
it
Right.
all
Right.
together.
Okay. 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 I'm confused. Actually, the big day for the whole next week, actually, next week is just Admin Day. Have you watched the Admin song before?
I really? Is
No.
there a Admin song? Should I play
Yes, there
it?
is a
Let me find it
uh
out.
Is that the only event
Admin song.
happening next week? Oh, we had the
Yeah,
Go meetup yesterday, right? The
yeah,
Yeah,
quite
correct.
an
with SG actually.
Yes.
interesting talk by Bill Kennedy. He
Yep.
didn't finish the whole thing that he was going to talk about. So, but is there another
Cool.
talk about like where he's going to talk about the draft and proposal for Go
Yeah.
Generics?
Not really. I think it's gonna be another one if he's gonna do it.
Yep.
And the news about Golang is that we're gonna do a collab in September with the Jakarta and Singapore folks. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see how it goes. Well, it's basically a Google Dev Space that connected us. So
Yep.
and we actually had an online meeting on Tuesday, and let's see how it goes. Right, what sort
Cool.
of things we can come up with. I actually said, actually, the one of the thing that really common in Malaysia is that we use the bus corner format,
Yep.
which surprisingly impresses them. So, yes,
Okay.
we are exporting our meetup format.
That is
Mm.
actually from Australia Junior Dev or
Really?
something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I posted the link for Admin song.
Okay.
I
Let
Mm-hmm.
me
think
forward. Where is that?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I think I posted publicly.
Okay. 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 I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Should we play it?
So
Any other events? Devkami.com/meetups is quite bare, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
because there
Nothing
are
much
not a
going
lot of
on.
meetups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, how long will
By
this take?
far,
How long until
well, September will be full. In fact,
we
September will be
actually get
interesting.
like meetups and I can use my laser pointer
because on September, way ahead, we actually have PyCon Malaysia, PyCon APEC online. And rumor have it, we're going to interview someone from PyCon Malaysia, PyCon Malaysia crew will interview Guido Van Rossum. So he's the creator of Python.
Yeah, did he
Online.
agree? Or is he
Yeah.
backing out?
Yes.
Or is this just a rumor?
I talked to the
Still a-
crew. I talked to the crew. So in fact, they already announced it a bit on their social media, so it's not a secret. It's just not on the schedule. That's all. They did publish the schedule yet. That's all.
So you're spoiling the the surprise.
Yeah, it's not a surprise they
Baiting.
announced it. They announced
Baiting.
it. But either way, PyCon Malaysia, PyCon APEC online ticket is on sale now.
What do you get
And
if
yes.
How
you
much
pay
is it?
for it?
20
Yeah, how
ringgit.
much is it and what do you get?
Oh, okay.
30.
What do you get?
So there's the early bird ticket. If you can still buy it, will be a buy one free one affair for 20 ringgit. After early bird, it's still 20 ringgit, but only get one ticket.
And then
Uh,
that's it. You just get to attend the online meetup.
Yeah. Yes.
No swag, no stickers, no
I do not know what's
t-shirt.
the crew. The crew did not plan it. I did not know what's the
No.
crew planning because I'm not part of the crew anymore. In fact, this afternoon I just signed off the last of the paperwork to close the old account. So I'm
No
not
pair programming
responsible.
with swimming for 2
No.
hours.
I
No.
don't do pair programming. I suck at pair programming because I suck at talking to human.
So just assume that they are not human beings.
Yeah. So that
And
being
fun
said,
fact,
Assume they're
which is
ducks.
this is highlighted by John, which is
yeah.
the sysadmin day. Basically the website and things is that it has been going around and this year is going to be the 21st.
Yeah.
So we actually did celebrate that in a small circle. Like we
Yes.
tried to hang out. If you remember the day, like we had
Yes.
during 1 year, it's just we had beer.
Yes.
So yep, but yeah, social distance.
Yes.
We can have
If anybody wants it, they
early
can do it
celebration.
online tomorrow. If anybody wants it.
Yeah,
That means that we have
I'm gonna have a
Uh,
long day. Since tomorrow is a holiday, I actually planned a long day board gaming session, playing some really long game
So-
with a friend.
Do you want to join our board gaming session on Sunday? Speaking
Right.
of board games. So we
don't mind.
apparently are playing Twilight Imperium with the mechs thing. There's
You
a
play it
new,
online or physical?
physically, but I guess we're going to be like spread out or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But you should try it out. Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
try it on Sunday.
I should
Let me
join.
know.
Yeah. It's actually a small circle, right? Mainly we whenever we find time, because like adults, we
Yeah,
play
same.
War of the Ring. War of the Ring is is a pretty big board, and it's a game that we hang out, like to do some chit chat, hang out, eat some food.
I
So
know-
yeah, and I should actually join more. I didn't know actually. I actually heard that Tristan's company is doing a regular, right? So, but I didn't know that.
Not anymore. Not
really?
regular.
Okay,
Not anymore. I mean, we have
So-
people.
it's in the office as well.
Yeah, it was. This coming Sunday, it's not in the office. It's somewhere else. But we used to have them in the office, like board games, but not anymore. I mean,
Oh,
it's the MCO thing killed the momentum.
oh, okay.
I'm no Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago. It's a meme.
Yeah. Sorry, but I'm often playing the Sauron side. I'm the Sauron.
Okay.
person.
So with there is no more events. So let's talk about our news.
Yep. What's the new
So
thing happening?
we had a few interesting one.
Yeah. Should I prepare my popcorn for some
The
of
thing
them?
short about the AWS bill. Let's not, because popcorn make you
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah. That's how I
Check out.
gain weight. Too much popcorn.
So either way, what's the story about the 13 gigabyte Cloudflare
In
AWS thing?
short,
I don't understand. Explain to me. Like,
wait.
I'm gonna
Let me share the link so people can read it. The in short is that he's hosting it on S3 and they charge you for the bandwidth for the egress. So the problem with that is he's using Cloudflare and assuming the Cloudflare will actually cache the file, but what he's actually serving is a VM image that is 13 gig large, and the maximum size for Cloudflare for a paid account is 10 gig. So if you exceed the size, it gonna just pass through the request. So what happened is that he got a surprise bill of $2,000, something.
So this is silly because one, as a sysadmin, as a user, you would try to find out 13 gigabyte is not trivial, right? I'm sorry, 13
The
gigabyte is
free
not
and
trivial.
also the free version is actually 512 meg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
if
I would
if you exceed that, Cloudflare will just pass it through.
Yeah, well, someone has to pay for that bandwidth anyway, and 10 gig is actually quite generous for a paid thing. Like, if especially if you're hosting, like,
But the good news is
they are a
that
CDN, but still.
read up the blog post is actually pretty intense because he actually didn't know where is the cause, what actually happened.
Mm.
So the detailing is actually detail how he found out about that. And the good news from that is that AWS actually refunded him. It's so kind of them.
Oh,
Refunded
it's
$2,000.
very. It's
Yeah, it's
not
very
even.
generous.
Maybe.
No, it's for Amazon, for the amount of PR that he's generating.
Yeah.
That's like small change. $2,000
Yeah.
is small change for the PR.
But from the point of view of customer support, is yeah, good job. I guess.
Yeah.
I actually didn't read it much. I just read the last the resolution.
Right.
So you have to figure out yourself.
Okay. So the
So
next
be
big
careful
thing
when
on
you
the
use. Yeah. And what's the going
top
on?
flat.
Cloudflare.
So the next big thing is actually it's called boot hole. So boot hole is a vulnerability on Grub bootloader. Grub 2 bootloader that actually use secure boot. So when Grub use secure boot, it will actually trigger attack. So actually, after any system they use secure
How
boot,
do you trigger attack?
even they use
It's an entry point of
correct. So
kind
what
of-
happened is let me share the link.
So you can run payload.
Yep, correct. So on boot, you can install malware, rootkit, and whatnot on your system.
Yeah. And also how UFI work is that the user land got the access to the BIOS. So
Correct. So this actually
which
impact.
I'm not a fan of.
Correct. So so what happened is this corporation called Eclipsium that showed that there's ransomware that using malicious EFI bootloaders to take control of machine on boot. So this already exists, and so yeah, I try to figure this out a bit. My brain doesn't work now.
In short, is it patch?
Yes. Debian and all that begin to release fixes.
Is there a test kit like last time that for the shell shock everything there's a test kit, right? Is there a way we can test it out whether we are vulnerable?
I don't know.
Okay, have to read it then.
Yeah. So okay. So how it works is that on boot the malware switch, then they switch the bootloader, then the malicious bootloader will compromise the operating system. So it's one of those things. So, but it's fixing right now. Debian is releasing fixes. There's a concern that because you had to, they had to revoke some of the signed shames to allow booting of operating system. There's concern that some of the OS need to reinstall and all that. They can't boot anymore, so they need to fix that. So if you look at the Debian security fix, they already give warning of what could happen or whatnot. So I'm sharing it on the public chat now. So they're going to update it. Okay, so the good news is Debian do not need to revoke the shame, but it may still affect booting if you do dual booting, or if you're booting our operating system on UEFI without even not dual booting. So it's one of those things. So it's pretty big deal. It's pretty big deal. It's scary.
It's very scary.
If
Is
you
there a
guys,
way
I
to
do not
protect
know.
ourselves?
They're patching it now.
So yeah,
security-
and Unix-like systems are not exactly free from malwares.
Correct. And especially when this is actually very important because it's related to the next story, but when Linux system and other operating system are running infrastructure, that's the target. So Linux running a lot of the infrastructure nowadays, from routers to your servers.
And this thing, because
those are
these days,
targets now.
because most of the distro and flavors are gradually going to, standardizing itself, it became like easier to target more.
Correct.
Last time normally it's a targeted attack. So, but these days is because everything is on. Everything looks the same now.
Yes.
So anything else that is going on?
Yes, Garmin was attacked by malware over the weekend.
So
Ransomware.
really bad one. They actually admitted that on their website. All their services are down.
Correct.
And were down or are down or still down.
I think
Did
I think they got the decryption key now, so they're
okay.
They're
So they're
refreshed,
up
I
now.
believe. Yep. So they're up now.
Did they pay for
I
the
don't know whether-
decryption key, or did they figure it out, or did they hack it?
I think they just paid for it.
They paid.
Not sure.
I guess so. Yeah, it's still chump change for them.
10 million is not for a company, unfortunately. Not in this. It's still an embarrassment. A $10 million ransom.
But
if they pay it,
they actually announced it pretty quickly.
it's still bad.
So
Huh?
the good thing is that they didn't hide it.
Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
So next one. What is the next one? Amazon fraud detector is out. I do not know what is this.
Yeah. This is I think is the good thing about this is this kind is an engine. It's not actually a general use fault detector, as in like you just plug it in. You can actually use it to train against your own. Your own samples.
Right. Okay.
It's a building block, so
Right.
supposed to be one of the ML as a service.
Right. Okay. And
Yep.
final one on my list is actually the mail attack. A lot of database are getting attacked, and the only thing that left is mail.
Oh, the meow
It's
attack.
funny.
The meow.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is funny. But I do not know.
Apparently, there's a lot of the mail attack is they wipe the database, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
they.
maybe
Well, I don't know if it's recoverable because somehow it gets replaced with some hash, so it could be like recoverable. But then there's the meow. That's where it
Yeah.
came from.
and they mainly
So-
target Elasticsearch and MongoDB. And I want to say this because we actually got this before. Is that by default, I'm not sure if you fix it. By default, in Elasticsearch and MongoDB listen to all interface.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was it. I
I
think it's still it, like this.
It's horrible.
Apparently the reasoning there is that um, it's great for development, but if you're deploying it to production, then you need to have someone who
Yep.
actually knows what they're doing,
Yep.
like who actually knows how to do security. Of course,
Yeah.
security by default is great, but I guess what they're trying to do is if someone who doesn't know what they're doing deploys it, then they get to blame the someone that doesn't know what they're doing, right? So I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
Well, you need to yes, there's a theory, right? But when you sell infrastructure, you need to make it foolproof. Selling
Oh
infrastructure,
no, they don't
selling
do the
library.
infrastructure. So the open source parts are like this, like by in development mode by default.
Yeah.
They don't sell
Okay.
the infrastructure. If they sell infrastructure, then they actually sell the whole service, which is secure.
Yeah.
Like MongoDB, I think has a MongoDB service, or like Elasticsearch, the Amazon portions. You have to know what you're doing it in order to, and it's secure
So
by when it gets set up.
And also,
But when you do it by
and-
yourself on a Linode, then it's not secure at
Yeah.
all.
yep. If you app install and have it running,
Yeah.
then it's on all interface.
Mhm.
And
see,
there's
because
also
what they
on my
offer-
radar, there's a major database leak
yeah.
from especially
Nintendo.
coming from the gaming radar, is that Microsoft
Yeah.
and Nintendo, they call it a giga leak.
Yeah.
And basically what they leak out are the old stuff, like the original source code and the engine for Xbox, and also like some of the older games of Nintendo, like the architecture, and also like codes for Game Boy and
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance and these things.
For the Nintendo part, which I actually follow, is interesting because those are unreleased code, meaning it's their prototype.
Yep.
They don't
Those are
again
the
experimenting.
Yeah, the difference is that the leakages is actually I'm adjusting my glass. The leakages is actually the source code repo. That's why they have so many like unreleased stuff,
Yeah.
because it's not that they compile the unused code. It's the database that is leaked is the code repo. And the interesting one is apparently they were planning for a PC version of the Pokemon,
Yeah.
and there's a code for. I mean, what interesting to me is that ability to use the Game Boy Advance as a PC controller for the game.
Right. My thing for that is that there is some character they're planning to add in Animal Crossing, some special Pokemon and all that. It's good that
It's
explanation is coming.
It's a very good news for emulator developers. The problem is for IP purposes, the original maintainer cannot read this code, but it can be done via like the regular white box methods. Like
Correct.
somebody read it and detail the implementation. Then it has to be gone through that way.
Yes.
Because for like Xbox, there's emulator developers has been having problem emulating the Xbox system, the original Xbox system. So yeah, in a way, it's for the sake of knowledge, is very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we say it's like like put it like some sort of happy news instead of scary stuff.
Yes.
Yep. Nothing new is released, so all the things that are leak so far are really old stuff.
Yeah. So with that said, I think that's pretty the overtime on the news side. So what are we talking about today?
We are supposed to talk about the sysadmin stuff.
Because it's sysadmin day.
Kids take for granted.
Yes, you damn kids. So let's start with you. What you think the knowledge that is actually lost among modern day sysadmin / operation people nowadays?
I think a lot of them lack they are good at using tools to. A lot of them they don't know how to install Linux. Simple as-
Yeah.
a lot of them don't know
They
how
don't
file
have to
system work.
nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
file system, how file
Okay,
system
fair
work, how
enough.
to. Tristan, you're muted. Sorry.
And yeah,
Hello,
Yep.
hello. No, my yeah. So surprisingly, when it's swimming, it's dark. It's gone dark. So what's interesting is they have a lot of people know how to do these software or whatever. And they
We
know how
cannot hear
to
you, Tristan.
do
You're dropping off.
no things. I'll reconnect.
Oh.
It's my turn.
okay, so
Bye.
one of the things, you're right in the way that operating system, because nowadays you don't, which is very interesting because you don't install operating system, you run,
As
you
much.
install image. You do not install Linux
And
on your
even
computer. It's
and
optional.
even the way how we use the closest that we have with installing a Linux operating system is Raspberry Pi. But the way how we do
Correct.
Raspberry Pi is more like
It's
how to
immediate.
create the live media,
Yeah, correct.
right? So yep,
Are you able to
Tristan.
hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
clearly.
Yeah.
Saying a lot
Oh, we got you.
etc.
I think probably you need to turn off your camera, see whether that will improve.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm
Yes.
talking about something controversial and someone's trying to sabotage us. No, I'm just
It's
kidding.
fine.
So a lot of people try to do all of these Docker communities. They can do the orchestration, config files, etc. But
Yeah.
ask them to set something up from scratch, like just a normal VPS, and then just have a single server
Yep.
to run a quick project.
Yeah.
Do it. They will
I
immediately
mean, like
start and try to know
it's like
things.
yeah, it's like all these
Oh,
good, like all these recipes for Terraform, everything. I mean, and also like AWS orchestration tools. But if I give you a Linux instance, you're gonna freeze, right?
Yeah, it's like
wait.
how. So if okay, so all of your firewall, like people just
Yeah,
just because okay.
you're dropping off.
No.
You probably need to speak slower, I think.
You.
So for single syllable, it's actually very clear.
Mm. So yeah. No. Let's continue on. Just wrong with my connection. I mean, last week it was
Tristan sounds like the portal, the AI. I forgot what's the name. The one that tell you that
Gladius.
the cake is a lie.
Gladius.
Yeah, Gladius.
Gladius.
Gatos. Gatos.
just glad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tristan actually sound like that.
But so okay, here's the question. Am I in the cave for that long that kids nowadays do not know how to install services by
I
hand?
think it's more like there is no incentive to pick it up. And
Okay.
the to pick up like I mean on how to do Linux is really boring. It's a really boring topic unless you use it as a daily driver. But the difference between this and let's put another analogy, like one is different than let's compare it like when we're complaining like why these kids these days don't know how to use assembly, because most often the time you don't need to go deep into debugging the assembly and stuff. But if let's say your Docker fails, you need these kind of skills to know to check out the problem.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. I mean, for me, it's important because of that. It's not that we always need to go one level lower. We actually don't need to really know like the requirement is not that we have to do the system
Everything by
kind of
hand.
system level tracing and stuff, but at
Yeah.
least know how to read logs, know where the files are, where to edit the
Yeah.
config. Yeah, those are some of the required skills. And yeah,
Okay.
of course,
Uh-huh.
using recipe is fine, but it's it's good to save us time, but it's actually not a way to pick up. I mean, I can say like I know what when I say I deploy Kubernetes. What do you mean by you have a Kubernetes in production? Like you use Kubernetes orchestration by one of the big guys, or you set it up yourself with some help, or you use an image. But
Okay. So.
when it
Uh-huh.
feels like the network fails and stuff, yeah, how do you debug it?
Okay. So here's a question. How do they look? How do they know where the error is in their
Yeah,
setup if they do not know where the log is?
yeah.
Okay, no, I'm serious question. So let's say nowadays they when they run a recipe and fails, where do they know where to find the log? Where do they know what is breaking? Is it version
Um,
incompatible? How do they know?
for people that know, they're gonna know. Yeah.
I mean, I
For
know
us, they're gonna.
because uh, I'm a long-time Linux user. I know that /var/log is where the log is, /etc is configuration, /usr local is where we put our local stuff, or /up because the cool kids do it nowadays. We know that, right? But if the kids don't know that, how do they find out how do they debug problem now?
Yeah. It's not that you have to really master it. It's
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to pick it up.
Yes.
Like
So
if yeah, because it's just so lucky, and also that and also for the sake of maintenance is that we use uh external services like
yeah.
AWS that actually saves the possibility of screw up. But
Yes.
often we see like blog posts online, especially on Hacker News and stuff, that people did some really low level mistakes. I
Yeah.
mean, as in really beginner mistakes. Then yeah, and they were having a hard time on that. And it's not that it's really. I'm not trying to be really elitist here. It's not that
Yeah.
hard to learn the basic. Like just like swimming list out. Like just know where the 4 directories are.
Yes.
Um, how to use an editor to edit config.
Yes.
Yeah, Vim or anything you like. So
Yes.
know where the logs are. Journal Ds is know at least some simple system D commands.
Or
Yes.
how
And
to exit Vim.
yeah, or check the route table. You don't
Yes.
even need IP no to master IT table. Like even I
Yes.
don't write IP table myself.
Yes.
Yeah,
Base generator.
unless I have to. Yeah, mostly it's
Know your
maintain.
know your
Yeah,
know your cron.
yeah. If the DNS fail, where should you check? If where thing pass through, uh,
Yes.
routing table basically, and all these things.
Yes.
And file system is very important. Knowing how file system works sometimes also will increase our productivity when you write slightly low level software to deal with
Yes.
file I/O. I mean,
Yes.
it's not just for sysadmin, but even for programmers. Most often, that I mean, people like to talk about benchmark all the time, but most often we won't hit that kind of quick response time, because often
Yeah.
in your database app, your database or your network gateway, or whatever that is in the middle, that is the bottleneck.
Yes.
So
So and okay. Let's see. What do I miss? Because obviously people are installing Nginx in my circle.
yeah.
They run Django manually. They have to.
Apparently,
General
still
people have.
Apache is still pretty common.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
Because it depends on environment, traditional environment like Apache.
Yeah.
No, our circle is more Nginx because it's just one of those things lah. Which is why I don't understand when you say that they don't look at log. Now I really don't understand.
A lot of them do
So-
know how to look at logs. This is what I
Yeah.
discovered.
I'm not asking people to use the command LSOF.
Yep.
I'm not asking them to look at SS. Know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you don't even need to know hardware, what kind
Yes.
of kernel module you should load and
Yes.
stuff. But
I'm not.
because in production,
if-
often
huh?
that is not that is hardly dealt with.
Yeah, I'm not even asking you to compile kernels or know the kernel option.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's you don't have. Yeah, precisely. You don't have.
But
to
basic
do that
security,
nowadays.
like just make sure, like
port-
nested, look
Yeah.
at, make sure nothing is listening on all interface.
Yes.
Unless you have to, and proxy everything
Yes.
nicely, and
Yes.
yeah, permission. Also, like this user permission.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Please no 777. I will kill
Uh,
people with 777.
I'm okay with 777 if you let me access it to help you debug. If your computer became my computer, then I'm fine with it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No 777.
But nowadays there's a lot of hand holding, like like SSH directory. If you make it all access to the .ssh,
Yeah.
it won't run. SSH won't run.
Yeah, it
cannot
won't run.
module. So
They
there
need
are
a
these hand
very
holding.
specific. Yeah.
Yep.
Nowadays is also very screw up. You know what? One thing that I find really interesting, I'm using Xarcs to do something. Right?
Xarc is Xarc is nice because it's I mean, if you don't, most often you don't need what do you
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it,
yeah, you
Hadoop
do
for
not
things.
Yeah. So the
Xarc
thing
is actually
is-
paralyzed.
So when I do that, I feel, and I share it to some newer coworker, I feel like suddenly I have a lot more beard. I
I
begin
can't
to
grow
call myself,
beard. That's the sad case.
I begin to call myself Gandalf the Grey or whatever, just because I do something so basic.
You're not grey
in front
yet.
of them. I have some white hair here.
You have to start wearing a robe to look wiser.
Yes. So apparently that's my thing. But I'm just but the argument here is I'm running something that is a bit more advanced, like Xarcs or
But-
use code. Use.
But the case is,
yeah.
feel free to ping us. I mean, or ping anybody for help.
Yeah.
If you are trying to pick it up, it's not that we are bashing people. It's just that we find
No.
it a missed opportunity, and also pretty pity when people face it. I mean, when people stuck with not knowing
Basic
how
problem.
things work. Yeah, basic stuff that you should know of. So you can be
Yeah.
independent. Like you're not. Yeah, some of the cloud provider is gonna like it, but you
Yes.
became independent. You can.
Alright.
You are comfortable with deploying things everywhere. Like
Yes.
Raspberry Pi is just a Linux. Everything is as long as it runs an operating system, you can probably run a service or process.
Yes.
So
I'm not saying that on Windows and Linux, those are very different. Nowadays, infrastructure is on Linux, but I'm saying that you should not jump to. You should not assume that things are automatically a Docker image that you can run and forget.
yeah.
Or you
I
should,
like it. I like
it's
it.
a good
Let's
idea.
talk about the evolution of how we deploy things. That would be
Yes.
interesting. Let's stop a bit on the talking about the problems, because
Yeah.
we don't actually, we are jaded old men that often
Yeah.
automatically steer to complaining, but
Yes.
complaining is boring. Let's talk about the history of how did you do it? How did you do deployment last time, Sumi?
So so there is multiple type of projects. So for example, PHP is nuts. You have to get the Apache PHP module.
Yeah.
You need to put it in /var. Then what happened is Apache will
You have to
actually
enable the
execute.
mods.
Yeah, and a module. Then in Apache EE, then you need to make sure that then you need to make sure the read-write condition and all that, because they will actually execute the whole thing. Which is why it's actually a bit scary to think of it now. Nowadays for PHP, you have PHP FPM, which is actually awesome in a way that it's a server, so you're not installing modules.
I actually don't like how it works because you still need to provide, it's CGI, so you need to provide the access to that file still. But if you try to do it in Docker, it's really silly.
Yes. So the thing is, PHP, because I left PHP world for a long time, it's one of my early things. So as a result, I do not know how the model works for Docker, but for Python get interesting. Python, we used to do something like this using fast CGI, not fast CGI.
In the one of the earliest, the one that I used was Mod Python on Apache.
Yeah. But
so you really like CGI.
Yeah. So later we use a thing called Mod WSGI. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's only. Mod
Yeah. Then after that, then we begin to have a server behind the server, which sounds really weird, but it's a good idea. So so we just proxy it through a network. So because at that time when I do that, Nginx is very famous because it's easy to do load balancing.
Yeah, and also the config is not as crazy as Apache.
Correct. Apache is a bit of a XML, yet not XML thing. So, so that's the change.
Someone to add anything?
I used my first deployment to production consisted of dragging WAR files to Tomcat.
Yeah.
That was like how easy it was before.
That's how we did it with Apache last time. FTP server. Yeah, make sure it writes
that's
in
FTP as well. Yeah.
So I think PHP or any CGI script back then were the earliest version of what we call now these days the serverless.
Yeah.
Well, so because I guess things were simple back then, right? I mean, compared to what, like, in order to get something up, you have to write like a Kubernetes config file or whatever, and then all of these like IAM securities or like all of these open ports. I mean, it's good because it's secure by default, but before, if you just want to get something out, that's how you did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You put the file underneath. You put the file to where the server can discover and you run that. So it's serverless.
As a result, when one set got compromised, all the set got compromised. Yes.
And you cannot control because all the resources are shared. If one crashes, everything is one hawk up, or because Apache actually spawned a thread for each connection.
Yeah.
So if one of the thread is consuming too much memory as CPU, it can crash the rest as well.
Correct. So, but
that's the denial of service attack, the original one.
Yeah.
You do a denial of service by crashing. Well, actually, like sometimes uploading a file into Apache so that everything is like not just a large file, but it's a never-ending file. So your socket is open and then everything is just crashed.
And why did I call it serverless back then? It's also like most of the PHP programming back then, they just need to know what kind of capability the Apache provides, like what sort of modules that it provides, and then you actually don't need to know anything about the server at all. Correct. Back then you actually that's why I call it serverless, because you actually don't need to know anything about server. Just drag the file in, it's gonna run.
Yes.
So,
but it's simple, but it's also very insecure, which is why the cloud services provided IAM and all that for security, because the one secure by default. Actually, I go slightly before that. I pushed my HTML with FTP. I missed that time on GeoCity. I don't remember the name now.
Yeah, where you can post HTML as comments.
Yeah, correct. One time.
Yeah. And people were naive back then. They don't think about like I mean, nasty stuff were for jokes most often,
Yeah, correct.
but not as malicious as we thought.
Correct.
But the hose is there. The
Nowadays-
problem with the hose is there.
Yep. Go on.
Yeah, that's about it.
So nowadays, when I deploy, so there's traditional and modern, right? And here's the first disclaimer: I never got into the serverless age. I'm too cheap for that.
No, wait, I didn't use that because I'm not exactly on the cloud.
Yeah. So
Still.
I'm a bit traditional at the
So
time.
I have no qualification to judge.
Correct.
But
So,
I'm
but I'm on the automation stage before. When I was on app, this is a cloud company previously known as Flexi, because their infrastructure is pretty big. It had to be automated. That's my first experience using Puppet. It's a configuration management. They can run command. It can run command, but their primary job is to maintain state across server, including authentication. That is my first semi-modern infrastructure. That one is before they don't use cloud and all that.
I used something from Python last time. It was simple.
Yeah.
I forgot what's the name. Do you remember it?
So
Somewhat
This I- So-
a tool to issue shell command over SSH.
Okay. I don't
forgot the
remember.
name.
It's a remote SSH thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a SSH automation tool.
So the simple one is that,
Damn, works
and
down.
then for Python, move over to Python like video. Wait, okay,
Come
swimming.
on, man! Don't download movie now.
Swimming is off. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. How does he know that someone's downloading a movie? Does he
You see.
is he like full
he's gonna
time
be-
sysadmin of his house?
I think swimming should admin his home network.
Yeah.
At least the QoS
But
part.
QoS stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and we just two of us. So
Before at the previous company, I had access to the routers because whenever we have a slowdown, we check like what's the protocols being used, and if someone's forcing, like, hey, we immediately go and message that person, please stop torrenting during office hours.
I don't know. I don't know how the bandwidth for, but I'm on the 50 meg and it's already like for me it's 50 meg. Is that 50? No, I'm on 500. Damn. I'm on 500 megabit. Which if everybody download, it's not an issue for me. But I actually force everybody to download via the NAS. So everything goes through the NAS, and the NAS actually has a queue. So yeah, wait for your queue then.
So it doesn't happen at the same time.
Yeah, but even if everybody download at the same time, like everybody can, like everybody is at another room. My brother is streaming all the time. So it's I think the bandwidth is sufficient enough for everybody to use it heavily. I think in our case, the bottleneck is our network device because we can't occupy it. Nobody can occupy at 100% of it.
Then he's gone again.
Yep. So what happened is that there's something that is influenced from Ruby as well in Python world. We started to have an app server called Unicorn. I think in Ruby was Unicorn, right?
Unicorn was, I think, one of the more popular web servers.
All right, I'm using my phone now.
You look like a TikTok now.
Yes.
TikToker. I think this is your calling.
Yeah. Swimming. Do you have
Let
a
me
TikTok?
switch to my wireless headset.
No, it's fine. Oh, it's actually fine. There's no feedback. We cannot.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'm being-
Okay. It's
Okay.
fine. Actually, you don't have to wait. Somehow the phone actually did the echo feedback really well. I cannot hear myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So
we talk about like unicorn.
yeah,
stage
correct.
of
Unicorn is actually changing how we deploy web application on the Python world. So it's a bit it's actually very meta. You think about it, like why the hell you don't have a module to run your thing on the server, right? But as it turns out, it's not a bad idea. It works very well. So, and that actually surprised me. I understand why, but it's
Virtually,
on.
it became common for your framework to depend on app server instead of right, like just you have to set up your own server and things like. So it'll be easier for
correct.
development and also for deployment.
Correct.
Then
It's not
and
as
also
easy as you think, but it's still easier.
it's easier. And also later stage, before System D, we were still on Init, and
Correct.
in order to manage our headless processes, but most often it's Python. And also back then, there's a cult of Python. I mean, I'm from the cult of Python, and we try to use everything Python. So supervisor was in Python, so I use supervisor a lot to manage like headless and make sure processes are started and exited properly. So
Yes.
what do you guys use before
In the Ruby
System D
world, we
came?
have we used to have Monet or God or
God.
I don't know.
Monet is
Like-
interesting because Monet actually comes with monitoring dashboard. But a common thing that on the Python scene is actually supervisor.
But
Mhm.
but the Ruby things, there's something that I really admire from Ruby things. They got all the flashy stuff. They were really
Yeah.
nice. I
Yeah,
really
but-
like last time Cucumber was like, why can't
Mhm.
Python has Cucumber?
Yes.
And
I don't
everything.
know. I
But
feel that everyone in Python are very like all business-like and straight-laced, while the
No.
culture in
Yeah,
Ruby is like try and experiment things, and if it doesn't
Yes.
work, well, you have an interesting story
were-
to tell.
We actually call Python were all the Python people were like neckbeard.
Yes,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
the Python scene, we are a bit more traditionalist in a way. So
not
we
not now
do-
but back then.
Yeah. We are more sysadmin style, and we actually know we will just work around the system because we understand how it works. Often we
But-
have to understand how it
Yeah.
works.
But Ruby
the
got all the
old school
flashy
hacker
stuff. I
type.
still remember like,
Correct,
damn, why
correct.
can't we have it? Why can't...
Yes.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's partly because we are more of an old school hacker type. Yeah. That's my thing.
Then
Whereas
after that
It's inspired by the language itself, right? Like the 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 discipline there is to have one thing and do it well or something. I forgot. Like no, that's
Yes.
Linux philosophy.
Yes.
Like to
Yeah.
have one way of doing something, and
Yes.
that is the recommended way, basically.
Correct.
So
And also as a result, we tend to like again operate if there's thing that's supposed to be done by operating system, we let the operating system do it.
yeah,
So it's a very Perl-ish kind of world.
yeah. No,
I wouldn't say it's
fancy
Perlish.
UI.
Perlish is like Perlish is how do you say? I think Ruby is more Perlish than Python. Python is very straight laced.
Yeah.
Like Perl is like there are many ways to do something and all of them are correct. Whatever
Yes.
makes you feel good, basically.
Yes. So yeah, totally understand that.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
another-
Yeah, so in Python there is one way to do something and that's the best way to do something. I think
Yeah,
that's
but nowadays it's a bit different because
Yes.
there's a few ways to do concurrency,
Yeah.
and the problem with that is you need the problem with Python is that unlike Go is that because it's backend, so if you use the async IO, then you need to make sure, like let's say your database connector to support async IO. So if you
Mhm.
are using something like called G event, and you need to make sure that G event actually has an adapter for the database, or else you cannot leverage the benefit, or it might come up with a sort of a race condition or
Correct.
I mean undefined
Mm.
behavior that we don't want to.
Yes.
So
Then suddenly you got the data science guys have their own way to do their concurrency thing that is a bit more magical.
yeah, they use
Uh,
message passing like mostly like
yeah. No. They have. Yeah. Yes. But yes, message passing, but it's a bit weird. So you have to make sure that pandas works well with the library and all that. Same interface, but the implementation is very interesting. So that's what happened in the data science side when they do have to concurrently process the
yeah,
data.
they are from another world. They are not they're
Yeah,
not they're not
they're not
Python folks.
necessarily they're
Sorry,
not
they are
necessarily
not
from
Python.
they're not
Yeah.
necessarily from a system and software
Yeah.
development
Is
kind
this
of
like
world.
the difference between mathematicians and theoretical physicists? Like
Yeah, close
theoretical
enough.
physicists try to think they're mathematicians, but mathematicians say no,
I
you're
think
from a
it's more
different
like
room.
It's more like
engineers
experimental
versus
physics.
yeah
Uh-huh.
engineers
Experimental
versus
physics.
theoretical physicists.
Okay,
Mm.
too much.
So
I'm
yeah,
thinking more toward the experimental physicist
yeah,
versus the theoretical one. So one would have a beautiful theory that do everything nicely. The other would
yeah,
like, well, real world doesn't fit
yeah.
100%
Real is not
correctly.
pretty. It's
Yes,
messy. And then
correct.
let's continue with that. We do you guys have any other tools at that time like supervisor?
Uh, so
No?
supervisor, actually at one time I used Daemon tools. I like it for
Mm.
being lightweight and it's very Unix like. It's very Unixy
No,
at the
but
design.
but
Yes,
isn't Inity's oh wait, no, Inity doesn't have the support for watching processes, right? But I
Yep.
remember writing a script that watches the PID if it's still there,
yes,
like the
correct.
thing. And if it doesn't detect it on the PID list, it spawns a new copy of that
Yep.
program that I'm
Correct,
monitoring.
correct. That's
So
how it
basically
works
that's
actually.
The thing that supervisor made easy was it's very easy to spread to start worker processes
Correct,
and to make sure they runs and the health check is there lah. So that's the
correct.
difference
mm.
between Inity is basically a free form. Inity doesn't provide anything, right? I think that's the
No, no,
love
Yeah, I
and
no.
hate
mean
with
you
Inity.
have your script. I
Yeah,
mean you can do a lot of things. So if
yeah.
you don't if it doesn't do
It's
what you
up to
want to
you to
write it
implement.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because Init is very unique as in their core in the way that they only do one thing. They
then
push project process to the back, and that's it.
then we have a system D.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, Docker is coming up. So
Yes.
instead of for I only use system D for a short while before I move over to Docker via Docker Compose, which they call
Yeah.
Fig last time before that was
Yeah.
absorbed.
Yeah.
So Docker Compose at least also with all the configuration because it's actually Docker. You can do like the make sure like when Docker starts or when the system start or when
Yes.
the pod is not pod the container is dead. Make sure it's restarted
Yeah.
itself
Correct. Correct.
and
So, yes.
But Docker is the
So
one that manages it, right?
yeah manages it
correct.
As
and
long as
the
Docker is running,
yeah,
then you can manage your Dockers.
yeah.
Correct.
So
So
I
let's talk about the
that
neuron.
and that part I became reliant on that. It's easier to
Mm.
for everybody to follow as well
Correct.
because I just need to put in I just need to put in
Configuration, right?
a Docker Compose YAML file, really short one, like normally 5 lines of it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
The Docker is awesome because the configuration is easy, readable, and can be
And
reasoned with
also
because often it's command.
I just need to make sure that the image handles the signal correctly,
Correct.
which is one of the complaint that Shaswan had during one of the DevOps meetup is that most
Yeah.
images out there they don't handle signaling well. But if
Yes.
but compared to doing system D is that my application need to understand the signaling.
Yeah.
Mm.
So of course most of the time
You
it's
can
just
track
queue and start.
the
Yeah.
signal.
But
So
if you want something more,
here's probably another thing that many people don't know anymore, like trapping signals. Like
yeah,
what
Yes.
does SIGINT, SIGKILL,
for them it's just
SIGUSR2,
dead,
all of these.
dead or
What is
alive.
this? Yeah, exactly. Like, did you know you can send signals to a daemon that's running in the background,
Yeah.
have it do and
Yeah.
interrupt whatever it's
You have
doing and do something
and
else.
also you have sync
Wow.
hub and these things to restart itself.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's take a. I can't hear swimming very far away.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at some of the comments. Nicholas is saying that on the 14th there's a DevKaki meetup. That's
yeah.
far away. We'll
That's
remind
far away,
ourselves
so we're gonna
again.
cover it later.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is the Bill Hurd.
Yeah, life
Chris
was simple.
Lowe
No,
saying life was simple. It is. I
it
don't
was
know.
simple.
Is it? I don't know. I guess it's just me, but I really feel
It,
life was simpler. CSS was
it's
simpler. JavaScript was simpler. Now you have to deal with gulp and create React App and Webpack.
we can't hear you swimming.
Those days, the requirement. Those days, the
Yeah,
requirement.
you're very far
is-
away.
Wait, my stuff is here.
Yeah.
Can
yeah,
you still hear me?
Better.
Yep.
Better.
Okay.
Much better.
Nowadays, the tools is powerful and it's easy to do things. In the older days, the requirements is simple, but we do not have as powerful of a tools, or it's messy at the same time. It's different sort of easy. You know what I mean? It's different sort of easy
No,
because
we didn't say it's
can you-
easy. We said it was simple.
Yeah,
Simple. It still
Yeah.
it still can be simple right now. It's just that
Yeah.
are you willing to I mean to do it, like not jumping on the train.
Yeah.
correct.
So
Right.
even in the JavaScript world, right? There's a new, I mean, not new, but there is this push for vanilla JS because there was this swing, hard swing towards like all of these fancy frameworks with Webpack and all of these like transpilation and CoffeeScript and whatever. And then suddenly everyone, oh no, this is too much. Let's go back to the simple days, which is still powerful, but it's simpler. And then you don't have the conveniences, you don't have all of these Angular RxJS things, but
Oh, that's
they're
crazy.
simple. Like you understand it. So Sean is saying it's more abstractions. Sometimes abstractions are easy if the abstraction is not leaky. Like if an abstraction actually insulates you from the problem area, so you know you can only you target a very small thing, and it
Yep.
actually like
It's still a choice.
translates
It's
into
still
something better.
it's still fine. You can still use I think that's why we are not missing a lot. Like if we do a server side render, like nowadays even the JavaScript folks are trying to do it server side render.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
now-
yeah, so that was a Slack thread, right?
Yeah.
That was a Slack thread that
Yeah.
like server side render. Like we've been doing server side rendering for almost like 30 years now since
Before
we started
JavaScript, before
internet.
JavaScript powerful enough back then. And
Just
also
in
this
case you
code,
didn't
I really
realize.
like this one. From Alan Perlis.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. Old days and new days is different.
It's a choice. It's
yeah.
still a choice. You still
Correct.
can make a choice.
Yes. Nowadays is okay. So let's say you want to do a traditional way of deployment. It's very easy to do it in System D actually. A lot simpler. It's a configuration file that can be reasoned with.
Oh, for my Raspberry Pi, I just use screen.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, if I'm going to deploy something quick, I just run it the development version and then run it under
Just
screen.
one screen.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, screen. Yes. Oh, did I tell you that I teach the people how to use screen and they suddenly realize that they should use screen from working from home because we all have sucky internet connection.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
or you can use Mosh,
Yeah.
UDP version of
Now,
SSH.
Mosh is, I don't know. I think that's too much abstraction for me.
Yeah, but it's
Yes.
on and off. I don't actually use it, but screen or Tmux is good enough to persist the state in the server. Nowadays, I develop mostly on the server,
Yeah.
Mhm.
not on the production server, but it's a development server. So yeah,
And nowadays,
because
you don't have.
because my laptop sucks and I need to
Yeah.
back it up and send it to repair again. It's
Again?
an Apple laptop. Yeah, I got the laptop back and previously it was because of the Bluetooth that fried the board. Now the new board actually will crash, actually cause kernel panic whenever it sleeps.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Do you need a
that
Mac?
is-
Do you absolutely need a Mac?
I don't really need that. It's a work machine, and
Okay,
and
so
I
you didn't pay
developed.
for it.
Yeah, I don't have to pay for it.
Okay, great.
and I'm mainly, if I'm at home, I mainly develop. If I need to work, I'm gonna use my home desktop to connect to the server anyway, to the office development server to do my stuff anyway. So the only thing that I need Mac the Mac for is when I because also we do I do a bit of mobile development. I need Xcode for iOS.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is not
Yeah.
discountable. Like I really need a Mac for that.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, if I
Oh,
do
you can
server
always
stuff,
run a VM. I do my
Yeah.
Mac stuff on a VM. It's
I don't
good
know.
enough, actually.
Yeah, there's a
Well, you
Mac
can-
there, so I just use it. I don't know. I'm not a choosy person, so I just
Okay.
use whatever that is. The experience is not bad, lah. So if it works, the screen is nice,
I don't know.
and WebGL works nicely, and it's a hurdle to make sure WebGL works properly on Linux.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never had a problem with WebGL as long as I'm using Chrome. Firefox is
Yeah.
horrible. I don't know how to set up.
Yeah, Firefox is
WebGL.
still horrible.
I don't use WebGL at all. I don't know why.
Because we do map stuff, nowadays there's a lot of more
Okay.
vector maps are actually nicer, so we need WebGL.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
stop
The
talking about work.
accelerated WebGL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
accelerated.
should say bye to the folks now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Sorry, my
yep.
internet connection is horrible.
Yep. Emacs is love. Go for it.
And we'll see you again next
See you
week.
next week. And have a good weekend. Take care.
Yeah, it's
Don't
a long
die.
one. Sleep a
Yeah.
lot.